Maestro Stephen, la verdad es un honor que nos concediese la oportunidad. Bueno, yo inicio con lo más destacado, toda su carrera muy amplia, la verdad es un tiempo récord que vamos a hacer, por lo que quisiera preguntarle sobre tu papel de Stu Beats, sobre Californication, pero sí, es un rol muy icónico, yo me lo he repetido veces en la serie, pero lo que quisiera preguntarle al dar tú muchas entrevistas es, ¿qué podemos considerar de cómo ha evolucionado los géneros de la sexualidad en el cine y la televisión, sobre todo en las parejas sentimentales, ante la sinceridad que transmite Stu?
And I will open The Big Secret from Jhon. It's the favorite series from him. He watched it 2 times. And I will also add something because we know that it's a very, very big career. Yes, how do you think that has evolved the vision for sexuality in series and cinema? Of course, talking about Stuvetts, about how the couples interact. And I want to add, of course, in this question, your role in Basic Instinct. But Stephen, the camera is yours.
Basically, Californication was a surprise to me. I didn't really know the show that well. When I went into audition, I knew nothing about it. And I go, and I don't know if you know what auditions are like in California, in Hollywood. What happens is, for Stu Beggs, they asked for pretty much every middle-aged character actor in Hollywood, bald, not bald, handsome, not handsome, whatever. So I'm in this room with about 60 guys, of which most of them I knew. And not only did I know them, I had serious interactions with them in the past. There was one actor, Jhon Getz, who was a leading man in a show, and he accidentally got me fired from that show because he didn't have the new script to that show. He was a regular, and I was a recurring character. And so for the network run-through, which is a big deal when all the big shots come, Jhon was using the old script, and I was doing the new script, and he cut me off in the run-through, and it looked like I made a huge mistake, and I got fired because of that. There were people there that I knew from Broadway, people that who had the job in movies and they turned it down and I ended up replacing them. All sorts of people. So anyway, I go into the casting room and there is, the casting director, and she has the camera going. And she goes, "Well, Stephen, we're going to read Stu Beggs, Californication." And I said, "Just a second. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on out here. My whole life is out there in that room." And I started going through each person in the room. I said, "This is making me crazy. It's one thing to come in an audition. It's another thing to have your whole life dragged in front of you before you go in an audition. This is crazy. Shall we just do the scene?" So then I did the scene with Felicia Fasano, who was our wonderful casting director. And I found out later I got the part of Stu Beggs. And I said to Felicia, "Well, I didn't know anything about the series, but I guess I did okay reading the scene." And she said, "Oh, I didn't send them the scene. I sent your rant from before the scene. I taped everything you were saying in the room about everybody there, and that's how you got the part." Now, that's how I got the part of Stu Beggs. But once I got on the show, I remember the first read-through of the show. Pam Adlon came up to me and said, "Hi, I play Marcy on the show, and we're probably going to end up knocking knees somewhere in this series, and I had no idea what that meant. I guess that's some sort of euphemism for you're going to have sex. We're going to have sex. We're going to knock knees together. So I didn't. And she says, well, what did you think about the script? And I said, well, it's very good, but I have mixed feelings because we've seen Stu Beggs. We've seen this character before, the rich producer with the car and the girls and the everything like that. But considering it's me and considering it's you, Pam, what if it's like my last chance at love? What if it isn't just me doing the producer with all the girls? What if we have a real thing here? And Pam said, that's exactly what I thought too. I mean, we could do something here. Let's go talk to Tom Caponis, who's the creator of the show. So we talked to Tom, Pam and I did, and he says, sounds great to me. I think I am recognized for Stu all over the world. I was in Edinburgh, Scotland, walking down the street, and someone yelled out the window, Stu Beggs, I love you. And I think one of the things that's so lovable about Californication, that I love about that show, is on most shows in America, the characters all pretend to be normal, but underneath they have very petty emotional lives. They get jealous, they get possessive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're vain, all sorts of things. Californication is the opposite. The people on the outside are crazy. On the outside, the people in California, you have Hank, you have David Duchovny, who drinking, drugs, women, you name it. But underneath it all, he wants true love. The opposite. So with me, with Stu and Marcy, you have a womanizing producer, drinking, drugs, cars, the works. You have a woman who's a waxer of the stars, whatever you want to say Marcy is. But at the same time, she wants to have true love. Underneath the layer on top, you have nobility. And you have people who want to be good parents, who want to fall in love, who want the real thing. And that is what is so fantastic about that show. In shooting the show, the cast was spectacular. We had a great set. We had you got it. We had a great set. We had a great crew, great directors, and Tom, a fabulous executive producer and writer. He was just brilliant. And it's one of the shows that's closest to my heart.
I don't know if I break my promise of not translating, because if I translate this faster, Jhon will die. But Jhon asked me to tell you this. In fact, this is an historical moment because you are the second person from the favorite show from Jhon. Anna Ray was here. Wonderful, of course, an amazing Latina actress that that she appears now on Cry Macho, and we feel happy for her.
Yeah.
I will translate faster because Jhon will die. Jhon, seré rápido, pero vas a morir. Hubo 60 actores para audicionar por el papel. Y lo que dice Stephen es que es muy gracioso porque vio a gente con la que había interactuado antes en su vida, ya sea porque yo tuve este rol y él no lo tuvo, ya sea porque estuvimos, incluso hubo casos graciosos como que a él lo despidieron, bueno, una locura. Resulta que antes de audicionar, él entró como en un caos y dijo, no, esperen, es que es muy loco lo que está ocurriendo acá, es que mi vida se está cruzando acá por delante. Resulta que cuando fue a audicionar, él le dijeron, bueno, y el guión, y ahí que le dijeron, Jhon, con esta respuesta mueres. Con el ataque que tuviste ahorita te damos el papel. Porque interactuó exactamente como lo haría. Es tú lo sabes, tuviste la serie. Dice que fue Dice que fue muy interesante, dice que fue muy interesante porque tú sabes muy bien que él hizo las escenas con Pamela. Y ahí usaba mucho un eufemismo para tener sexo, decía algo así como que juntar piernas, y él como que, pero esperen, ¿cómo así? Entonces él sí tuvo que llegar como una especie de química con ella. Tú sabes que la química es perfecta porque él dice, y esto lo resume y se ve rápido, Californication no muestra a personajes que se ven bien por fuera y están dañados por dentro. Al contrario, son personajes que están locos, pero por dentro en realidad son personas nobles, personas con honor. Yo creo que con eso te dije todo, mi amigo. Y dice que es un casting increíble y que por ese personaje lo han saludado en cualquier estado. O sea, que es muy loco. Cumplí tu sueño, ¿cierto?
I love Californication, love is too. What?
You made Jhon happy.
Excellent.
César.
Ok,
César, dale.
pues bueno, buenas noches a nuestro invitado. Y bueno, yo por lo regular trato de buscar películas de terror de nuestros invitados. A mí casi no me gusta el género de amor, de romance, pero la excepción es esta película que me vuela la cabeza, me encanta. Y nuestro invitado interpreta al doctor Henry Kendrick, me parece. Y bueno, quiero preguntarle qué recuerda de participar en esta película que en español es Te amaré por siempre. Y en su opinión, ¿cuál es la mejor década para el género del romance?
And I will mix this question from Cesar from Mexico with a question from myself. Cesar he's crazy because he asked me to tell you that he really don't like the romance genre, but this movie blow his head. The Triangular's wife that you will laugh with the title in Spanish is Te amaré por siempre, like I will love you forever. What? Bad translation, lost in translation. But yes, what do you think? And of course, telling another movies. In fact, one of the movies that I really love that from that genre that I watch with my mother, because I always watch romantic comedies with my mother, is Failure to Launch. And I know that you make movies like Beat on a White. Okay, what do you think that is the best era from romantic movies? And of course, romantic movies with a twist, because we know this movie is crazy. It's a romantic, but it's another kind. And of course, tell us about your role that Cesar really loved the role that you play in that.
I think for me, probably the greatest era for romantic movies during my life, I'm saying, is probably the 1990s, because you had Groundhog Day, which is one of the greatest romantic films of all time. You have When Harry Met Sally. And it's the people were taking these huge leaps in romance. Women were more independent. Men were more like men and not like heroes. They were more realistic and more fantastical. So I would say the 1990s for me. You also have, I think, in there, The Princess Bride. I'm thinking, which is a great, is that fall in the 90s, late 80s, 90s, a great romantic comedy. Again, you kind of choke up when you think about these movies, when you think about the great moments in these movies. Now, Time Traveler's Wife was a unique experience for me because of Eric Bana, who's the lead of the film. One of the most extraordinary people I've ever met in my life. He is genuine. He is hardworking. He is absolute professional. He loves what he does, and he loves the people he works with. And I have found that often movies, it's not always true, but the tone or character of the leading man and woman of a show kind of filters down. And if you have a man and a woman who are leading the show who are what I would say is aloof, kind of they keep off to themselves, they're not outgoing, they're not giving to the cast and crew, you get a certain kind of movie. But Time Traveler's Wife with Eric Bana and Rachel McAdams, such dear people. And Eric extended himself constantly. Now, it was a very strange movie because we shot it in Toronto, and the government of Toronto gave us the movie a dispensation, a tax dispensation, that we were able to get a discount on our locations if we shot in mental institutions. Yes. So all the doctor's offices, all the hospitals, everything medical you see there, my office, where I'm just meeting people and talking to them, everything was shot in mental institutions. And so you're on a certain floor, and the movie is shooting on that floor. And you are instructed, if you hear an alarm, that means take cover, because there's been an escape of someone who's criminally insane. So you got to be careful. You go to the lunchroom, the bells ring. It's like, oh my God, what do I do? But we shot so much of that movie in mental institutions that it will be forever blazoned in my mind. And the dearness of Eric Bana, again, from the top, coming down, it was a loving set, a loving crew. Everybody did great, except for the fact that we were shooting in loony bins. That made it a little scary, but otherwise it was fantastic.
I promise that we will tell more about Groundhog Day later, so I will skip that part of the translation, but I will tell about Cesar, the thing you say. And of course, I think Eric Bana, as you, is one of the most amazing actors that needs more recognition. And as you tell me, because we see now that you're an amazing person, if you tell me that Eric is amazing, we believe you. Okay.
Eric is a person who is not only a skilled actor, but he's not ambitious. It isn't like he's driving to get the next big part. He's working to do this. His talent gets him the next big part. And all he wants to do, it seems, is enjoy and embrace each project that he's on. And for me, it was inspirational to watch someone at that level of Eric, that good of an actor, that much success, who was able to just take a step back and always be a person first. And that's Eric.
Yes, he's so human. I remember Munich. I think that's an acting before it be. I didn't feel that he was acting. I feel, oh my God. But I will just like, César, no traducir la primera parte porque eso lo meteré con algo de Jhon ahorita, que él dice que obviamente lo mejor es los 90s, y él habló de una película que hay que hablar ahorita, Groundhog Day, pero dice que lo que amó esta película, era un dato especial de esta película. Primero, el trabajar con Eric Bana, lo describe como un gran ser humano, como una persona que, es más, ahorita le está diciendo, uno de los actores que parece más infravalorados, que actúa también, que se ve muy real, que él no es ambicioso, dice, en el sentido de que él no busca lucirse, sino al contrario, ser muy humano. Y el dato, este dato te va a volar la cabeza. Filmaron en Toronto y les dieron un descuento si grababan en instituciones mentales reales, así que los pacientes que tú ves son reales, y les dieron una advertencia. De hecho, él estaba haciendo su papel, pero como eran instituciones reales, dijeron, si escuchan una alarma, es que hay una persona, un criminal por ahí suelto. Pero inteligente. I feel great because my Spanish is so great that you understand it. I hope my English is that well. Jhon, dale.
No, por favor, eso es lo más maravilloso. Qué anécdota tan especial. Gracias, César, por esa pregunta. Pero también tengo una pregunta, o sea, para mí me parece muy adecuada, y es, ¿qué podemos aprender de Robert? Robert, obviamente, a mí me encanta una de las series animadas favoritas mías, que es Archer. Archer es crazy. Y lo que quisiera preguntarle es, ¿qué podemos aprender en la vida real de Robert? Tan ameno, tan adecuado, tan de clase como lo es.
Now we're going to talk about the favorite animated series from Jhon. Of course, about Robert in Archer. It's Archer, not Archer. Well, in Latin America we say Archer. But yes, I will ask you not only the question from John that what can we learn about Robert, but it's a highlight for an amazing career of voiceover in animation. In fact, it's crazy. I will tell you, when you put your name in Netflix Colombia, Peabody and Sherman. No, it's amazing, and I see your IMDb. Yes. No, and I wanna tell you, we got the honor to have actors here that do voiceover, like Handy Milo, like Sander Berkeley, and I love and they love what they do. So please tell us about Robert and about that amazing career in voiceover.
Yeah, voiceover is something that at the beginning of my career, I didn't realize how special it was. Very few people get to work in voiceover. And some of my first jobs in Hollywood were in voiceover. And I thought, it's not a very big paying job. I played the thermometer in Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars. What's this? I played a hyena in The Jungle Book, the big Disney movie. I played a hyena, and it was one of these things where they called me in the morning. Can you be a hyena? I go, sure, I could be a hyena. Yeah, I could be a hyena. Yeah. And they say, okay, we're going to record this afternoon. So Peabody and Sherman is quite a story. Now, I got the role of Peabody and Sherman because I do a podcast called the Tobolowsky Files podcast. It's free, doesn't cost anything. It's on the internet right now. There are 99 episodes that have played on National Public Radio here in the United States. We do it for free, and what they are true stories from my life and career. Some of them are career stories. Some of them are stories about me growing up in Texas, about me meeting my wife, our honeymoon, our children, all sorts of stories. And in fact, in America, Simon & Schuster, a publisher, has asked me to do 2 books of my stories. One is The Dangerous Animals Club, and the other is My Adventures with God. And these 2 books are based on my stories. Now, one of these books, I went horseback riding with a bunch of folk from Colombia. There you go. A bunch of folk from Colombia in Iceland. So we had a whole group of riders because, in Colombia, you have great horses, you have great riders. So my wife and I went to Iceland and we rode with the Colombians across the fields in Iceland. I went 3 times, 3 different years to Iceland to ride on horses. And the 3rd time I went, I was thrown from my horse riding on the edge of a active volcano in Iceland, Mount Hekla. I ended up breaking my neck in 5 places. When I got back to America, the doctor said I had a fatal injury, which obviously I did not. And I wrote a story about this that was in the Tobolowsky Files. I believe it's in My Adventures with God, that book, and the story is called The Afflictions of Love. So if you go on the internet and look up Tobolowsky Files, Afflictions of Love, that is the story of my broken neck in Iceland. So what happened was, I get a call from my agent who said, they want you for the voice of this character in Peabody and Sherman. Can you go over to the studios today? And I go, well, sure, I don't know anything about it, but I know Peabody and Sherman from my childhood, from the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. I knew who the characters were. So I go to the studio. The executive producer and the writer of Peabody and Sherman had just gotten back from Iceland, where he had been horseback riding. And he came back to America, and someone said, you need to listen to the Tobolowsky Files. And he heard my story of my broken neck riding the horse in Iceland. And he heard my voice, and he said, that's the voice I want in Peabody and Sherman. So because of riding with the Colombians and getting a broken neck and telling that story, I ended up in Peabody and Sherman. Now, the writer-producer said, we have modeled this character exactly after you, Stephen. So when I came into the studio, they show this guy who's bald, hunched over, got a big nose, like, I'm going like, this is me? Oh, no. So anyway, I did the voice of the principal in Peabody and Sherman, and that was a huge voiceover job for me, all because of my experience of horseback riding and breaking my neck. I don't advise any people in voiceover who want to be in voiceover to break your neck to get a job. It's not worth it. Now, flash forward, I am in Helsinki, Finland, with my wife. I'm doing the show one day at a time in America. I get a call from the executive producers on my little iPhone in Helsinki saying, can you come to Austin, Texas, which is several tens of thousands of miles from Helsinki, because we're having a producers meeting of producers from all over the country, and we're going to be talking about one day at a time. So I said, sure. So I told my wife, I said, they want me back in America for one day at a time. I'm going to fly from Helsinki to Austin. And let me tell you, that's a long plane flight. That is long plane. You see a lot of James Bond movies on that plane. I arrive in Austin. I go to the hotel. The executive producer of One Day at a Time meets me in the lobby, Mike Royce. He says, do you want to go eat Mexican food? I go, sure. We walk out the door. We're crossing the street in Austin, Texas, and another man is walking towards us and goes, wait a minute, are you Stephen Tobolowsky? And I go, yeah. He goes, well, my name is Mike. I'm one of the executive producers of a show, Archer, cartoon show, Archer. And I go, yeah, I know Archer. He goes, I've been looking for you. I want you to play a part in Archer. And I go, you're kidding. He says, well, see, this is the joke. You look at your IMDb, you're in all these hundreds of shows and you're always played this character in the background. So I thought it would be hilarious if on Archer, you played a character in the background, the part of Robert. This would be the kind of part you'd have if you were in a movie. And I go, well, that sounds great. He says, now, could you do me a favor? I have a pitch I wanted to do, for One Day at a Time, the TV show One Day at a Time. You're on that show? And I go, yeah. He says, could you introduce me to someone who's involved with that show? And so I turned to my right to my executive producer. I said, Mike, meet Mike. He wants to talk to you about a pitch on the show. So in a crosswalk on Austin, Texas, I got offered the role of Robert on Archer. And I also connected Mike with One Day at a Time with those people. Now, the way I am rendered in Archer, I'm very happy with because it looks more like me. And in fact, just last week, I did 2 more episodes. So Robert is still in the saddle. He's still coming back. And we have some big surprises in store for everybody in season, is it 14? I forget which year. But I've done shows on Archer for 3 years. And it's a hilarious show. It's a great show, and I really love it. And I think it's one facet of my career I'd like to expand on. Because to do voiceover, you can do voiceover when you're too old to be in movies, or you're too old to be on TV. You know, when they may not want me for grandpa anymore, you know, because I'm too damn old to be grandpa, because I really am a grandpa. You know, they want someone younger. I could still be in animation and cartoons. So it's a great place to be.
In fact, I want to tell you, I have to thank you because the Radio Toaster is now considered. In fact, I think this is one of the most amazing, not only animated movies, but movies is so mature. And as a Colombian writer, please I really want this to read this book and be and know about my Colombian fellows with you in Iceland, but I will translate faster. No, man, la cuestión, yo mencioné a Peabody y Sherman. ¿Sabe cómo tuvieron ese papel? Resulta que Stephen ya van 99 episodios, ¿no? De un podcast gratuito con historias de la vida de él. De hecho, una de esas historias fue un viaje que hizo a Islandia con unos colombianos donde él se partió el cuello, incluso montando a caballo. Resulta que los productores de Peabody y Sherman escucharon esta historia y dijeron, tenemos el personaje para ti. Y obviamente, pues Peabody y Sherman, de hecho, es uno de mis personajes favoritos. Yo lo veía, al igual que él, con Rocky Bullwinkle. Cuando él ve el personaje y lo ve narizón, bajito y todo, dice, ¿este era yo? Bueno, resulta que gracias a Peabody y Sherman, él hace otro viaje a Finlandia. Y ahí lo llaman, y tú sabes muy bien que él trabajó one day at a time, un día a la vez. Lo llaman, puedes venir acá a Austin, Texas, vamos a hacer una serie, listo. Viaja a Austin, Texas. En el camino, es que mira esta locura, creo que iba a comer comida mexicana. En ese camino, en ese cruce, aparece el productor de Archer y le dice, tú eres Stephen Tobolowsky, ¿cierto?
Wow.
Dijo, sí. Dijo, ¿tú quieres aparecer en Archer? Dijo, sí. A mí me gusta mucho la serie. Te tenemos un personaje. Tú sabes muy bien que el personaje de Stephen en la serie es la persona que siempre apareció de fondo, que es un personaje súper bizarro. Dijo, de hecho es el personaje que más se parece a mí. Sí, te tengo una noticia y con esto termino y mueres. Se vienen, él acaba de grabar 2 episodios más. Sigue en la serie Archer.
Yes.
I told you that you will reappear in Archer. And no, we really want that you share us the link from your podcast, and we had to celebrate. You are the one, sorry, my English, the 146 interview that we do in this little channel that is also free. Le estoy diciendo que es la entrevista 146. Jhon César Delen. Yo sé que con esa respuesta murieron.
Bueno, de mi
ya obvio, que él dice que nunca pensó que el hacer voz en off le iba a dar él nunca le dio el valor, y obviamente saben que salió el libro de la selva, hizo La hiena, La pequeña tostadora, que es una peliculota, y él dice que ama esa respuesta porque él dice que puede hacer voz en off siendo ahorita un abuelo. Lo dijo así. Sí.
No, es maravilloso. Bueno, César, complementemos. Yo de mi parte, yo quisiera preguntarle muy concreto sobre Memento. ¿Qué no podemos olvidar en esta realidad, en la sociedad actual de nosotros como seres humanos? ¿Qué no podemos olvidar a pesar de las dificultades, a pesar de la amnesia de pronto de lo que se evidencia en el cine? Bueno, César, complementa.
Pues bueno, yo quiero hablar de esta película que vi cuando era niño, que me encanta, Spaceballs. Pues bueno, la recuerdo con mucho cariño. Quisiera que nos contara alguna experiencia trabajando en esta película, y también que nos contara si hay algo de las películas de los 80 que extrañe que no se haga actualmente.
Okay, 2 questions. I will start with the question from Jhon. I will add something. You know that we are going to talk about Memento, but I will add something because the question from Jhon is, Jhon, ¿qué podemos olvidar de la realidad?
Sí, que no podemos olvidar los seres humanos.
What can we not forget about reality? But I want to add something. How does it feel to be part of 3 movies that are part of the National Board of the Congress, that are Groundhog Day, Memento, and Thelma and Louise? And yes, I will do the question from Cesar. Of course, he, as everybody, he loves Spaceballs. He watched it, in fact, as a kid. What is the best memory of doing movies in the 80s? What is the best? And in fact, in the 80s, you also appeared in a movie that need to be in the World Congress, that is Mississippi Burning, for God's sake. So tell me, your memories about, we read your IMDb with Jhon tell me, Stephen Tobolowsky, Joe. Are you serious?
So from, which movie do you want to talk about first?
Memento.
Memento.
What can we not forget about reality? And of course, if you want to talk about being part of movies that are part for the National Board of the Congress, go ahead.
Yep. The thing about Memento, I remember I got the script for Memento, and if you know about films, and your listeners know about films, the standard screenplay is first draft is about 120 pages. And the theory is that it's 1 page per minute. And so you have 2 hours, right? That's a first draft of a screenplay, 120 pages. And then the producers cut it down to about 90, if they can, 91, 92. That's really what a Hollywood screenplay is. The screenplay for Memento was about 300 some odd pages long. It was like this. I'm going like, oh, what is this? It's like a dictionary. It's the biggest screenplay I've ever seen in my life. So I'm going like, this has to be terrible. So I sit down and I said, okay, I'm going to read this awful screenplay. And I'm thinking, like, oh God, these people can't write. You know, it's got to be 120 pages. It's 400 pages long. So I start reading it, and I'm going, oh damn. And my wife walks through the room, and she goes, "What? Terrible?" I go, "No." Halfway through it, and it's maybe one of the best screenplays I've ever read. I know that there's no way it's going to be able to live up to what the first half of the screenplay is. I know they're going to, bail out on me and have a terrible ending of this screenplay. So I just hate it. So anyway, I kept reading it. About 2 hours later, I start screaming in the bedroom, "Damn it! Ow! Ow! Ah!" And I got the script and I threw it across the room. And Annie comes running up and says, "Terrible?" I go, "Best screenplay I ever read. Best screenplay I ever read. It's brilliant. It is brilliant." So I called up my agent and I said, well, I have to meet Chris. I have to go in and I have to talk about the movie. So I go in and he wanted me to read for Sammy Jenkins. And I said, well, it isn't that I going to read for Sammy Jenkins. He goes, well, I know, because you really don't have any lines. There's nothing. I said, that's not what I came here for, Chris. I came here because everybody in Hollywood who reads this script is going to want to be in this movie, because this is the best movie that I've ever read in my life. However, I will be the only actor I bet you read for Sammy Jenkins that's actually had amnesia. And he goes, what? You had amnesia? So I told him the story of Iceland and being thrown from the horse and breaking my neck, and how for the next several weeks I had amnesia, where I would end up in a place where I did not know where I was. And I would come through the house and I'd end up with a glass of water in my hand that was half empty. And I didn't know if I had just drunk the water and was coming to the kitchen, or it was like I was born at that moment. I would find myself in the toilet, standing over the toilet, holding little Steve in my hand, not knowing if I had peed or if I was going to pee. It was like I was born at that moment, that minute. And then my wife yells, "You finished 10 minutes ago. Zip it up and come out of there." That's what it was like having amnesia. And so I got the part of Sammy Jenkins in Memento, and it was one of the most challenging roles I ever did. That number one is amazing. You could translate that if you want.
Oh, yes. In fact, I want to tell those two things. As a person, in fact, sorry if I talk about myself, but I feel so identified, because I wrote this for an episode that I know what is had to have amnesia, that I wake up, I pass out, and my family just was crying, and I was, where am I? That's terrifying, man. There is another movie that deserves, of course, to be in the National Board. What about The Insider? But I will translate.
Yeah, Insider, spectacular. Insider, what a great cast, what a great movie, absolutely terrific. I went in and met Michael Mann on that, and he wasn't showing now he's the opposite. He wasn't showing the script to anyone. And so they give me a page to read that said hotel clerk. And I come in and I don't know what I'm going to do because I don't know what the movie is at all. And I wait for about 2 hours to meet Michael Mann, and Bonnie Timmerman is the casting director. And I come in and sit down, and Michael says, "Are you ready to read?" And I go, "No, I'm not going to read." He says, "What do you mean you're not going to read? You waited for 2 hours. What do you mean you're not?" I said, "Well, I don't know what I'm doing. It says hotel clerk. I don't know what kind of a hotel it is. I don't know if it's a Holiday Inn or if it's a very expensive hotel. I don't know if I'm a good clerk or a bad clerk. I don't know what my job is. I know nothing about it. So there's nothing I could do to read this without reading the script." And Michael Mann said, "Well, no one is reading the script." I said, "Well, I can't audition for this unless I read the script. And so I'm not reading. I'm not reading anything." And he starts laughing. He says, "Okay, you won't audition unless you read the script. I'll let you read the script, but you have to sign a contract to read the script that you will not tell anybody what's in this movie." So I go back and sign a 4-page contract. He gives me the script. I go home and read it, and I go, "Wow, what a great, great movie." Then I come in the next day and sit with Michael Mann and Bonnie Timmerman, and he says, "Okay, you read the script. What do you want to read for?" And I ended up reading for 4 different parts, and Michael gave me one of them. But it was all because I had a chance to read the script. And this is kind of a problem in Hollywood, where security and the internet and people wanting to out a script ruin it for everybody else. Because as an actor, if I don't read a script, I don't know what I'm doing. You mentioned Mississippi Burning. Mississippi Burning, I'm playing the head of the Ku Klux Klan. Alan Parker, for the Bigs, who was the director, brilliant director of the movie. In the Ku Klux Klan speech I give in that movie, he populated, there's about 2,000 extras in that scene, and about 1,000 of them were actual Klansmen. So they used their Ku Klux Klan card as ID. We're shooting it out in the middle of the sticks somewhere in Alabama and Georgia, somewhere over there. And so Alan Parker says, "Okay, you'll get on stage. We're going to shoot this many, many ways, many, many times. I only want you to go through the first half of the speech because the first half of your speech is very regular. It's not racist. It's nothing. It's simple. Just do the first half of the speech and we'll get the audience, and we'll send everybody home. And then you'll do the last half of the speech, the super racist part of the speech." So we start shooting. It's about 2 a.m. We shoot for an hour, hour and a half. And one time, Alan Parker does not say cut. And it is an actor's job to continue if the director does not say cut. So I move into the last part of the speech, the highly racist part of the speech. And everybody in the audience starts coming alive. It's like 3 a.m. They're screaming, "Yes, yes, yes, you want to be president. We love you. God, yeah, we love you." Alan Parker runs up on stage and says, "Oh, I didn't expect that." He says, "Well, let's keep shooting." So the audience is going nuts. So Alan turns the camera on these people. I was there for a 3-week contract, but because of that outdoor scene and because the weather pattern in the southern United States has rain about every week, they switched me to a run-of-the-picture deal where I would be there until they had clear weather. So one day, Alan Parker comes to my trailer, knocks on the door, and says, "Stephen, you're going to be here for a while. I hear you're interested in directing. Would you like to follow me around and watch me do what I do?" And I go, "Sure, Alan. Yeah, that sounds like fun." And so for the next several days and then weeks, I follow Alan Parker around. And then after a while, he starts asking me questions. "Okay, how would you shoot this scene? How would you do this? What would you do about this? No, that's a terrible idea. That isn't what you're going to do. This is what I'm going to do now. Do better next time. So Alan started schooling me on how to make a movie. For the next 6 weeks, I had no idea the gift he gave me. Later on, after I finished Mississippi Burning, and it was so fantastic, I did Groundhog Day, and Alan Parker is standing in front of the theater for the premiere of Groundhog Day. And I ran up to him and I said, Alan, I'm so sorry. I'm such an idiot. I had no idea what you gave me, the gift you gave me. It's a gift I will treasure my entire life. And I hugged him and he pushed me away. He says, oh, stop it. Just stop it. You better be good in this movie here. And that was one of the last times I saw Alan. However, I was in Paris, France. My son was going to school there, and for his birthday, he wanted me to do his laundry. So I'm taking a big bunch of laundry out in the streets of Paris to find a laundromat, and a man comes around the corner and goes, excuse me, you're Stephen Tobolowsky, aren't you? And I go, yes. I said, I'm doing laundry now. He says, I am a very close friend of Alan Parker, and we talk about you all the time, and Alan loves you very much, and I want to give you his good wishes. And I said, and I love Alan very much. He gave me a gift I'll cherish my entire life, and my love to him too. So Mississippi Burning was a very special movie for me.
Sorry. I think that you can talk, because we talk about the 80s, the answer from Cesar from Spaceballs, and I believe me, I remember everything. In fact, I feel so happy because you made me remember two amazing directors that they are not here with us, but they leave us a legacy, that is Alan Parker and of course Harold Ramis. And I'm so happy because we got, in fact, you're the second person that had worked with Alan in this channel. We got Norbert Weiser from Midnight Express. That is the favorite movie from my uncle. In my family, we got an uncle that is the only artist in the family. Oh, and if you are so excited that you meet him and they give you a bit lesson, and of course you later did 2 Idiots in Hollywood. I don't know. It's crazy because I feel that they are like friends from mine for the movies they did. I don't know, how do you feel if you meet him like this? Thank you for this story. I will translate, but please answer also about the Spaceball, and what do you think? What is the best memory that you got doing movies in the 80s?
Yeah, Spaceballs, I was doing a play at the time at the Los Angeles Theater Center with Bill Pullman, who's like one of the stars of Spaceballs. So Bill was saying that right after he finishes this play, he's going to be doing this Mel Brooks movie. And he says, Stephen, you may be good for a part in that movie. And Mel's coming to the show to watch the show. Maybe you can meet Mel afterwards. So I do the play with Bill Pullman, and in the lobby afterwards, Mel Brooks says, you would be good maybe for this part in Spaceballs. Why don't you come in and audition? On Monday, come to my office. So I auditioned for the captain of the guard for Spaceballs, and Mel has me go through it about 5-6 times. And he goes, that's fine. That's great. Okay, you got the part. And I'll pay you $1,000 a day to do the captain of the guard. And I go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I called my mom and dad and said, I'm going to be in Mel Brooks's, because they knew him. I'm going to be in Mel Brooks's new comedy, and they're going to pay me $1,000 for the day. So anyway, my call was Monday. I went in Monday to do the captain of the guard scene, but they never got to it. So the AD says, well, I guess you'll have to come tomorrow. So I came the next day, and they never got to it. And then I come Wednesday, never got to it. Thursday, never got to it. And I say to the AD, I said, I'm sitting here all day waiting to do my scene, and it's like you're not getting to my scene. And he says, what's your contract, man? I said, well, I get paid $1,000 a day for the day I shoot. He goes, no. You get paid $1,000 a day if you shoot or not. And I go, wait a minute. You mean I'm going to get $1,000 for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and all I did was sit here and eat snacks? He goes, that's right, man. So, whoa, this is the greatest career in my life. So I shot it on Friday, and I went like, this is the job I want for the rest of my life, because they pay you even if you don't do anything. And I loved doing the scene with Spaceballs. You know, it was a lot of fun. And none of us had an idea of what a huge movie it would be at the time. But it still is huge. It still has huge fans. And, you know, all those Mel Brooks movies from that era were spectacular. And later I did Mad About You with Mel. I played the principal. I was playing principals of schools. I was playing the principal of school, and he was playing a guy who wanted to come back and get his high school diploma. And we talked about Spaceballs on the set again. And it was wonderful. Wonderful opportunity. Wonderful gift.
While I'm translating, I will ask Jhon to share you later the interview for Norbert Weiser. It's magical to talk with people that acted with in Alan Parker movies, and of course you made me remember another Bill Pullman. Amazing. Okay, I will translate. Chicos,
Sí.
prometo decirles todo. Empecemos con Spaceballs. Él estaba haciendo una obra de teatro con paz descanse, Bill Pullman, y lo vio Mel Brooks. Y le dijo, tú sabes muy bien que Spaceballs es de las primeras películas que le hizo. Dijo, quiero que seas el guardia en mi película. Te pagaré $1,000 por día. Entonces él, listo, voy a ir. Fue el lunes, no grabó. Fue el martes, bueno, fue toda la semana y llegó el viernes. Y él dijo, pero venga, no, yo necesito, ¿cuándo voy a grabar? Yo, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué estás tan desesperado? ¿Cómo es tu contrato? No, es que me pagan $1,000 por día. Digo, sí, por día, no solo por día que grabes, por cualquier día que venga. Ustedes me están pagando $1,000, así solo venga a comer bocadillos. Dijo, sí, este es el trabajo que quiero tener de por vida. Resulta que él jamás pensó, o sea, pues sí, ¿no? Lo increíble que es Spaceballs, y lo chévere que fue volver a grabar después con Mel Brooks en Mad About You. Se da muy bien que esa serie pegó muchísimo en los 90, y es gracioso porque él hizo el rector del colegio y él dice que siempre le han dado sus papeles, ¿no? Ahora sigamos, bueno, con la mía. Seguimos en los 80. Esto yo creo que complementa lo de César, Mississippi Burning. Esa historia me conmovió, y ahí le pedí muy bien, Jhon, que le pase la entrevista a Norbert Weiser, porque resulta que él hace una escena. Él es el jefe del Ku Klux Klan en esta película. Resulta que Alan le dijo, acá hay gente que pertenece al Ku Klux Klan. Claro, fue grabado en Mississippi. Tú haz la primera parte donde el discurso es muy normal, después le decimos a esta gente que se vaya, y tú haces la parte racista. Resulta que Alan Parker eran 2,000 personas. O sea, tú sabes muy bien que como director, pues a ver, dirigió a nuestro amigo Norbert. O sea, él dijo el discurso. Hay una regla como actor que es, si no te dicen corte, continúas. Él no oyó el corte y continuó el discurso. Resulta que la gente se enloqueció a las 3 de la mañana, y los mismos del KKK decían, tú debes ir para presidente. O sea, eso es real. Alan dijo lo siguiente como que, no predije esto. Resulta que Alan sabe muy bien que Stephen hizo una película, ¿no? Dos idiotas en Hollywood. Resulta que Stephen le dijo que quería dirigir, lo acompañó y le enseñó, bueno, así es que se dirige. Entonces, él fue casi como que la persona que estuvo al lado mientras hizo Mississippi Burning. Sabe muy bien que ganó Oscar a mejor fotografía, fue nominado Alan Parker, Gene Hackman, bueno, una peliculota. Resulta que después se encuentra Alan en el estreno de Groundhog Day, el Día de la Marmota, que es otra de las joyas de él, y él le dice, Alan, soy un idiota, jamás pensé en la increíble lección que me diste. Entonces ahí que dijo Alan Parker, que es para morirse de risa, cállate, ojalá esta película sea muy buena. Obviamente. Después se vino a encontrar, no volvió a saber nada de Alan, pero pues sí, un amigo de él estaba por allá en París así lavando la ropa, y ¿usted qué está haciendo? Entonces él dijo, por modo de broma, pues yo ahorita lavo la ropa. Dijo, no, es que yo soy amigo de Alan Parker. Obviamente yo le dije que si para nosotros es emocionante que saber que por las películas que ellos hicieron son personas cercanas a nosotros, ahora imagine que él lo considera amigo, y que para mí es muy conmovedor que él nos hable pues de Alan Parker, y obviamente otro genio que se nos fue, que es Harold Ramis. sobre Insider, que también es para mí, porque lo de Memento vas a enloquecer. Porque yo le dije que hay varias películas de él que merecen, o sea, hay 3 películas de él que están en el Congreso, que son Thelma y Luisa, Groundhog Day y Memento, pero yo le dije que Insider lo merece. Con Insider pasó algo loquísimo. Saben que es del 99 y empezó esa locura de que se filtraban los guiones. Creo que eso empezó fue por la Guerra de las Galaxias, ¿no? Entonces, Michael Mann le dijo, no lees el guión. Entonces dijo, pero yo no acepto un papel si no leo el guión. Dijo, listo, lees el guión, pero con la condición de que lo haces porque yo no puedo permitir que nadie lea el guión porque se filtra. Sabes muy bien que esa película tiene un giro al final, además de que fue el primer papel de Russell Crowe allá en Estados Unidos, uno de los primeros, ¿no? Después de LA Confidential. Dicen, no me imaginé lo increíble que es. Memento. ¿Te acuerdas la historia de la ruptura del cuello?
Sí.
El guión de Memento eran 300 páginas, no 120 como es una película normal. Entonces saben que un minuto es una página. Él dijo, esto va a apestar. Resulta que cuando estuve leyendo Memento, a las 120 primeras páginas dijo, empezó a gritar. Entonces la mujer le dijo, pero... Entonces, bueno, él terminó de leerlo y él pegó el grito. Yo, ¿qué es una porquería? No, es el mejor guión que he leído en mi vida. Entonces él llega y le dice, sí, quiero estar en la película. Entonces Christopher Nolan le dice, listo, tú vas a hacer este papel. Dijo, pero este papel no tiene diálogos. Es una persona que sufre de amnesia. Entonces le dijo, listo, lo haré. Porque yo sé lo que es sufrir de amnesia. Le dijo, pero ¿cómo así? Cuando él tuvo la caída, se rompió el cuello en 5 pedazos, tuvo 2 episodios. Primero, sostenía un vaso y ni sabía si había bebido agua o no. Segundo, estaba en el baño con el hijo y no sabía si él había orinado o no. Y la mujer le tuvo que decir, llevas 5 minutos en el baño y terminaste hace rato. Sufrió amnesia. Solo por haber sufrido amnesia en la vida real, él tuvo el papel en Memento. Yo creo que hay que aplaudirlo.
Wow, sí.
It was like everything.
Bravo, bravo.
Legend, maestro. Increíble. Sí.
Lo del saludito.
Sí,
Okay, Stephen, the camera is yours. Send a hi to Colombia, to Mexico, to the channel. Give us your social media. Tell us what's next. Man, as I say, I'm not also speechless. We are not also speechless. I'm so moved, man. I'm so moved. We are so moved.
Invita a ver Archer.
Yes, invite the people to see Archer. Jhon, it's a dream come true what you say about Archer, so please invite the people to see Archer. Social media, a hi, go ahead.
Hello, everybody, to my friends in Colombia. I just have been working with Isabella Gomez, who's Colombian, on one day at a time. And so for all of our friends in Colombia, and all those writers who rode with me in Iceland, my friends in Mexico, dear friends in Mexico, I want to say hello and I love you all and congratulations. My social media on Twitter, I'm at Tobolowsky. Very simple, my name. You on Facebook, I'm Stephen Tobolowsky. So you'll find that. You could get my podcast, The Tobolowsky Files. Just go to tobolowskyfiles.com. And there's 99 episodes that are all free. Stories from my life that have been on the radio here in the United States and been in books. But you can enjoy those for free, tobolowskyfiles.com. And watch this show. What is the official name of your show?
In fact, I will ask the favor, Jhon. Me tomaré una. If you can say welcome or watch Jhon Jatenjor interviews, we will put it. Jhon, le dije que mande un saludo al canal y que tú lo pongas. Jhon Jatenjor interviews or Jhon Jatenjor interviews.
Te lo escribo. Que te lo escribo.
Jhon will write it down. We got 10
Yeah, Jhon Jatenjor
interviews.
Jhon Jatenjor interviews.
Yes.
Watch Jhon Jatenjor's interviews. This is Stephen Tobolowsky. We've had a great time here with a multilingual interview. And I have delighted in this because I have so many friends in Mexico and in Colombia and Brazil is a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it? You know, that's a whole different world in Brazil, but still in South America. I have so many friends there, and so my love to everyone.
And before this end, I'm crazy because not only with Isabela Gomez in that city is the amazing Rita Moreno. Rita Moreno is a hero for us Latinos, you know. In fact, it's crazy. She came back with West Side Story. I really need to watch it, but we will take a picture. And you, as a Colombian writer, please allow me to post with my booth in this picture which we'll share in social media. So, John, vamos a tomar la foto. Él me dijo que puedo posar con el libro. Sí.
And I saw West Side Story. It's fantastic. It's fantastic, and Rita is fantastic in it. It is great.
I really need to watch it. It's crazy because this is a small city, and sometimes these movies don't come. But I say this crazy because I live it in even a smaller city, and they pass every time of cinema, like big productions. You know that the haze now in Colombia is Encanto, Spider-Man, but I really need to watch as a Latino West Side Story. I was skeptical. How do you remake this masterpiece? But when I saw that Rita came back and Gustavo Dudamel, the Venezuelan director, made the music, I need to. So you recommend West Side Story?
It's a masterpiece.
You
will love it. You will love it, especially if you love the original. This one is different. It has some different plot twists, different character. It is magnificent. You will love it. You will love it. As someone who loves the original, this Steven Spielberg has blown it out of the water with this. It is fantastic. I have never heard an audience roar at a film before. And I mean, they are screaming because it is so exciting and they love it so much. The acting is so good. The script is so good. The songs and dances are fantastic. You'll love it. You'll love it.
If Steven, I will say it in English and in Spanish. If Steven Tobolowsky recommend a movie, we will watch. Steven Tobolowsky nos recomendó West Side Story, dicen que es un giro a la original. Es que le dije porque él trabajó con Rita Moreno. No, si él la recomendó, toca verla. I don't believe in awards, but I really want that Gustavo Dudamel gets the nomination. He's one of my heroes. And as a Latino, I always roll for my people. But Stephen, thank you so much, man. Really
my pleasure.
Gracias por esta oportunidad.
Thank you so much.
Maestro.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you later.
See you later. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Es una leyenda.